Today's episode, find out the difference between the average rate of return and the actual rate of return, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it matters. My name is Stricklin. I'm a certified financial planner and the president of Wise Wealth. I'm a writer and an educator and an advisor. And today, I'm here to help you. So make sure to sub if you're new, hit the like button, and let's get into this video. In the world of investing, we usually focus on the average annual rate of return. This is for 2 reasons. 1, because it's the return that's normally recorded and advertised. And number 2, it's because it's the return that really matters long term. But what I want to talk to you about today is why the average annual rate of return is wrong and why you can't make all of your investment decisions based on that. First, let's think about what an average is. An average annual rate of return adds up all the annual returns, whether they're positive or negative, and then divides that sum by the total number of years. For example, if we were solving for the average annual rate of return over a 10-year period of time, we would add up the total of all the returns every year for those 10 years and then divide that number by 10. That would be the average annual rate of return over that period of time. The problem with using the average annual rate of return is that it is not wrong. It's an equation that truly and truthfully reflects the average of that period of time. This is why mutual fund prospectuses use it and why most financial advisors use it when looking at various allocation models. So then what's the problem? There is one serious problem with the average annual rate of return, and that is this: it's not the same as the actual rate of return if there are any negative returns added into the equation. Another way of saying this is that the return you experience is hardly ever the average annual rate of return. What we experience is the actual rate of return, and the actual rate of return is less than the average rate of return. Here's an example. If you have a portfolio that experiences a plus 10% and a negative 10% every other year for 10 years, the average annual rate of return would be 0%. But your actual rate of return over that period of time would actually be minus 4.9%. You might see a graphic up on your screen. So if you look at that graphic, it shows a portfolio that begins with a positive 10% return and a negative 10% return every other year for 10 years. If you started in that portfolio with $1,000 in year 1, you would not end up with $1,000 in the end of 10 years. You would end up with $951. How is that possible when you have 5 plus 10s, 5 minus 10s? Your average was 0%. Because the average rate of return is never the same as the actual rate of return if there are any negative returns added into the mix. Most of our investment portfolios will have negative returns, which means our actual experience in those investments will not be the average, which is advertised. I just want to mention that if you have a fixed rate investment or an investment that has no negative returns, like a bank CD, then the average and actual will be the same. But if you have even a single negative return, they will not be the same. So what's the point about all this and why is it important? It's important for 3 reasons. Number 1 is because you can't base your investment decisions only on an average annual rate of return. You just need to realize that you will experience a lower return than the average. So you may want to consider either increasing your risk to move the average rate of return up or lower your expectations on your current portfolio. Number 2, you can't expect to take withdrawals equal to your average annual returns or even less. And I see this a lot of times when people say, hey, this portfolio is going to average 6% per year. I'm going to take a 6% withdrawal every year. That does not work. In fact, it's possible to have an average annual rate of return of 6% per year while you're withdrawing only 5% per year and still run out of money. This is called sequence of returns risk, and that's a video for another day. Number 3, anytime you hear the words average annual rate of return in the future, and you will, I hope a little red flag pops up in your mind and helps you make better allocation and withdrawal decisions. So even though the average annual rates of return are true, they do not and will not reflect your actual performance. Just be aware of this and allow this awareness to help you make better decisions. If you enjoyed what you learned in today's video, please hit the like button below. And if you would like to hear more content like this, I release videos every 2 weeks. So if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified every time we drop a new video. So please subscribe to our channel today, and thanks.